Community Connect.
Community Connect.
Community Connect.
Community Connect.
Community Connect.
Good morning, viewers. Thank you so much for joining us in this program, Community Connect. This is yet another big topic, another issue that affects us in our societies today. And here we have a big question today. We say disability is not inability. If you believe so, please move close and we exhaust this topic with the very important people in the studio. So please, can you introduce yourself to the viewers?
Yeah, thank you, viewers. My name is Adis Victor. I'm a disability facilitator and a trainer, and I run a national organization for disability called Agency for Disability Inclusion, which is based in Yei. But currently, I do facilitation on inclusive programming on disability. Thank you.
Yes, thank you, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Mandela Isaac Eric, a disability rights activist and the founder and executive director of Society Transformation for Equal Rights. It's a national organization that works to advocate for the rights of persons with disability. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. As we are going to dig deeper into the issue of disability, I would like to ask my guest here, what is the common understanding of the word disability? If you can please break it to the audience, what is the meaning of disability?
Thank you once again, viewers. This is a very controversial question. Always when we ask ourselves what is disability, there are a lot of answers coming into our community or into our viewers' mind. And today I want to put it clearly, the definition of disability itself. So many times when we ask about disability, we directly refer into the impairment of the person, and we describe it as the person's difficulty to participate in the society or in any other activity. But today we want to differentiate these two things. Disability comes from the social construction where between functional impact of the person's impairment interacting with the different barriers to effective and fully participate in the community. So this is the definition of disability. However, what you're looking at in the person is called impairment. So impairment is permanent in the person. Impairment cannot be removed. So what you look in the person is the impairment, but disability can be removed. Disability is the challenge where a person with impairment interact with any barrier that hinders or obstruct this person from participating. And that is the brief definition of disability. So I will also give to my colleague.
Thank you, my brother. You have answered it correctly. I will also like to throw a little bit of light in it. Disability, in short, it's just like impairments plus barriers. Like my colleague rightly put it. And according to United Nations Convention on the Rights of Persons with Disability, it says that disability, it's an evolving concept. It says that disability is an evolving concept in that it is the interaction between impairments and barriers that hinder the full and effective participation of persons with disability on equal basis with others. That means I might only have what is called an impairment, which is the permanent loss of part of my body. But when I interact in the society and there are barriers that makes it difficult for me to be able to participate equally like any other person, and then I become a person with disability. So in short, we say disability is an evolving concept which states that persons with disability are those who have long-term mental, physical and sensory impairments in their interaction with various barriers may hinder their full and effective participation on equal basis with others. Thank you.
Yes, so thank you so much for that. You have heard, viewers. Now today we have been told the meaning of disability. Now we have different perceptions in these communities about people with disabilities. Can you please tell us those negative perceptions that people always have on people with disabilities?
Thank you so much. Community perceive disability in very many ways. So in general, what you perceive is what you act on. So the perception generally in persons with disability is always negative. So there is always negative perception on persons with disability, which is full of discrimination, full of stigma, full of a lot of things. So those things are always creating negative belief and negative behavior characterized with the culture, characterized with the religious beliefs. All this contributes to the negative perception of persons with disability. But however, like we said previously, based on the definition, when you look at the impairment of the person, definitely will consider this person cannot do something, which is wrong. So this perception, we want to remove it as we give you this awareness, viewers, that persons with disability can do anything like any other person. Disability is just a temporary situation. Once it is removed, this person can do any other activity like any other person. So perception can be removed. We have this attitude of persons towards, you know, your attitude play a bigger role in your perception. So once you have a negative attitude, definitely all your perception will be negative. So that's all what we look at it. The community looking at the persons with disability with the negative attitude, hence resulting into discrimination in so many ways. There's a lack of equal treatment because of the impairment they have, regardless of the disability. Because disability, any person can have disability, regardless whether you have impairment or you don't have.
Thank you. There are very many perceptions that happen differently according to the community setting. One perception that people always have towards persons with disability is that disability is a curse. That when you have disability, maybe your parents might have done something wrong, and as a result, you are born with disability, and that is a curse. Others also think that the person himself who has disability is the one maybe who stole somebody's property, or who insulted somebody, or who did somebody's who ate somebody's money. Hey, so these are perceptions that people think. Other people also think another perception that also happens is like a person with disability is somebody who should live at the mercy of other people, who should not have opportunity to work, who should only be given things. And others also think that this person with the disability needs charity. So when we give them charity, we open our ways to go to heaven, because they say when you assist somebody with disability, your ways are clear with God, because these are people who are supposed to live under the mercy of other people. In other words, like it is judging the book by its cover. This person has a disability and he cannot do anything. Another perception that happens in the Western in African countries along the west and southern part of Africa is that some parts of persons with disability are very important for rituals. Most especially the people with albinism. People use their parts, the witch doctors collect their parts, and they say when you have this, if you want to be maybe a rich person, you want to own a big house, you go and collect any part of this person, you will be rich. So these perceptions are there in our community, and that makes persons with disability to live at they treat themselves at low self-esteem. They look at themselves as people who have nobody. But I think these are mainly the perceptions that we think that they're in the community, and these perceptions make persons with disability to be viewed negatively. And also, you see, sometimes also the perception that we have in the community that has made even many families to separate is that disability, when a child is born with disability, is the cause of the mother. The mother should have brought it from their family. People say, for us men, we don't deliver people with disability, so it is a woman. So this woman brought this kind of curse from their family. So you find that most time people separate because they are children born with disability. So the perceptions are very many, depending on our cultural setting, depending on our society, depending on different communities. Thank you so much.
Again, as we said, this perception again impact negatively to the person with disability, he himself or herself, in the sense that when you sympathize with the person feels helpless.
Yep.
The person feels helpless, so he needs help. He needs assistance from another person. He's vulnerable. So these things impact negatively to the person. As a result, this person believes he cannot do something for himself. As a result, they result into begging.
Yep.
They beg on the street. They look at the mercy of people for help, and even the community look at the person as helpless. They need their help. So in return, again, they will turn and say these people are burden to them. So these are the things that, because of the perception that we perceive negatively, that persons with disability are helpless, so they need charity. Again, we look at the impairment, we intend to say this person needs medical treatment. You see, so when we look at the impairment, if this person is taken to hospital, especially those with the visual impairment, so we intend this person can be operated and the person can see again.
Yep.
And which it's already confirmed this person cannot reverse his sight. So to believe that this person can live with the impairment but needs to be capacitated and to be independent and to be self-reliant, as a result, people look at a medical approach of it. So which is also again impacting negative to the person. So there are a lot of them that we need to begin to remove out. That is, we look at the social approach where we say the society should involve and remove barriers. If there are challenges that person with disability are experiencing, remove them so this person can be independent, can be self-reliant, and can develop himself or herself. And the last one is to give the person the right.
Yep.
It is very important this person has the right to live, this person has the right to participate, to build their capacity, give the opportunity to go to school, so that in turn they can work for themselves. So get experience of different people with disability and identify their ability.
Thank you. I also want to throw another light on the perception, because it is one thing that is making persons with disability to be hidden behind houses. Another thing is that people perceive disability to be a shame. When you have disability, therefore it's a shame, it's a big shame. So as a result, many communities hide their children behind houses. When the visitors come home, when you make introduction, the person will say, I have, if he is having 7 children and one of the child has disability, he will say, I have 6 kids, but there's one there who has disability, which means the other 7 child is not considered a child, because introducing him is a shame. As a result, these persons with disabilities or children with disabilities do not have access to go to school, do not have access to play with the children. They are always kept at home to keep the keys of the houses. So this perception of thinking that disability is a shame or impairment is a shame should be thrown away. When we come to organization level or to the community of organization, they always think when persons with disability come to their offices, people are coming to beg for something, because they also have that belief. To make matters worse, these are people who have gone to school. These are elite. But when a person with disability comes, no matter how smart you dressed, the only thing they think in their mind is that this person has come to ask for money. So it's always a challenge that when I walk into an office, maybe I am coming to present a document, maybe I'm coming to facilitate, but one thing the receptionist will always tell that the person, the big man is not there, or the big woman is not there, because they think that when you are coming there, you are coming to ask. And it has been a challenge for us in South Sudan, right from the government up to the organizational level. The international organization, they view organizations of persons with disability as people who have no capacity, and as such they don't implement programs. And viewing persons with disability as people who have no capacity is also another negative perception that people have towards persons with disability. As a result, today we are telling you viewers that it should be the community whom we think that did not go to school that needs a lot of awareness on issues of disability. But to us who have gone to school, we should be able to understand that persons with disabilities have those capacities, have that ability to perform, but they only need to be supported. They need to be given that opportunity for them to be able to prove their capability. So this perception of judging the book by its cover, that persons with disability cannot perform, it's an old model thing. We need to throw it away and look into the abilities of persons with disability. We need to think at them as persons who have got the rights, who are human beings who deserve equal treatment like any other human being. If you believe that disability is not inability, then you walk the talk. Don't always talk, but you walk the talk. Thank you.
Yes, Mandela, I don't want to interrupt you, but to go on that perception. Sometimes I believe also the people with disability play a big role in some of this perception. There are these people that are perceived to be very rude. You know, these people who cannot speak, I don't know how they are called, that kind of impairment.
The hearing impaired.
Yes. So every time you speak to them, they feel like you're abusing or you're doing something, and then they get rude. Is that perception true, or it is?
That is absolutely wrong. That is absolutely wrong, because it is what we have concluded in our minds, that when you speak to the hearing impaired, they are always rude. One thing we need to understand is that the hearing impaired are using sign language that you do not understand, that I do not understand, not until when we are trained. So when we are trained in sign language, we can be able to communicate effectively with these people so that they can be able to understand exactly what they're communicating to them. Because maybe what you're communicating is an insult, because they are symbols and signs that we use to communicate to the people with hearing impairment. So making a conclusion that persons with hearing impairment, when always you communicate to them, they are rude, is not that correct. Even people think that persons with disability generally are rude when you communicate to them. But let us look into this scenario that this is a person with disability who got this disability at a later age. This person did not go under counseling, did not experience psychosocial support, and you want to approach to talk to this person. This person is traumatized. Like even we South Sudanese, generally South Sudanese were traumatized because of the war.
It's true.
All of us react differently according to the war.
Yes.
What about a person with disability who is traumatized because of the war and who is also traumatized because of disability? What kind of, if you have to put on his shoes, how will you feel? So these people need a lot of rehabilitation support. They need counseling. They need, you need to speak to them in a way that they understand this person really wants to get something from me. Not in a way of mockery or not in a way of laughing at him. Sometimes people do their hands like this and do like that. This one is deaf. They feel offended, like any person. Maybe you call me blind, most commonly in South Sudan, Amian, Abu Kereng. So if you call me blind, when I have my name, the really beautiful name that my mother and my father gave it to me, and use my impairment name, how do you expect me to laugh and be happy? So this contributes to the thing you call rudeness. This is in reaction to whatever message you have communicated to them. Even the snakes that move on the ground, when you step on them, they can bite you. The bees, when you disturb them, they can bite you. But there are people who approach the bees in a very good way, so the bees do not realize that someone wants to steal their honey, right? So when you speak to them very well, they can be able to understand what you actually want. So a society, there is no society without persons with disability. We know that they are outside there. So when they are outside there, try to talk to them in a human way. Talk to them with humanity. Thank you.
All right, thanks. You want to say something?
Yeah, I want to say this question is very nice, because general people conclude persons with disability are arrogant, they are very rude in nature, but which is not true. So it always takes us back to the perception, because like my colleague has just put it, the way you approach person with disability is the way they will always react to you. So by calling them those names, forgetting that they have their beautiful names, like my colleague has just put it, it's enough to become arrogant. Look at people with the psychosocial disability. We call them mad people. We throw them with the stones. What do you intend? What do you think they will do it? So whenever they see a community of people in 2 or 3, whatever comes in their mind is these people are ready for them. So they will prepare. They will prepare all the insult, all the weapons to fight. So it becomes a part of their life. This is because the society has impacted that negative ideology or mentality into their minds. But when you approach them in a nice way, you treat them nicely, nobody is born arrogant. But it's the society that changes our attitude. Yes, that's what I want to add.
Even in the family level, please, when you are growing up with in a family together with your kids, and you see your parents trying to separate you from your brothers and sisters, they are being loved and they are not being loved. When it's time for Christmas, they say for you with disability remain at home. They buy clothes for that, and who has those ones who have no disability. What do you expect this one to grow? They grow with this kind of mental disorder. Maybe it grow with issue that I am being hated by the society. So he also will have to pay back and hate the society, because from my family level I'm being hated. So why do I love the society that hates me? But it comes back to our family level. If we love these kids, we take them to church, they participate in the church, they participate in football or in any other activity that makes them happy, they are human beings. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much. Thank you. I have really liked the way you've exhausted.
Yep.
So we go back. This one is in connection even with the perceptions. So what challenges do people with disabilities face at the community or at workplaces, given this perception, the negative perceptions all from all the corners of the world? What do you people face?
There are very many challenges that there are very many challenges that people, persons with disability face in the society or in the community level. One of them is called the attitudes of the people, which is called it comes to barriers. I just want to classify them into 4 types of challenges. But before I talk about the classification in challenges, I want to bring one major one which I said is called discrimination. Persons with disability are being discriminated when it comes to education, when it comes to health, when it comes to associations, when it comes to contributing ideas in the community level. Persons with disability are being segregated. For example, people are going to have today, maybe my sister is getting married, and people are sitting down to discuss the dowry of my sister. They will say, you as disability go and sit very far there, which means my opinions are not important there. Another challenge in the society that persons with disability face is the challenge of inheritance. A child with disability will never inherit his or her father's property, simply because they say, if we give it to you, what do you do with it? You don't inherit your father's land. If your father has land, they will say, maybe we will give it to your brother or a sister who has no disability, and then you will benefit from them. So you don't inherit your father's property. Another challenge is that some of these persons with disability don't even marry. When you want to, when a child with disability dates a very beautiful girl or dates a very handsome boy, at the time of introduction, itapika kijibu zola intazere fi community day fi better nada sana bamole sunu. How do you bring this person who is already walking dead to marry your daughter, to marry you? Have you looked for all the men or women in the world that you did not find them? You only found this person with disability. How will he feed you? So this becomes something challenging. Even if it's a girl with disability, you want to marry her, how will she cook for you? How will she even provide services to the community? Can fee Barnabita Osura when there is a community gathering? How will this girl serve the community? So this issue, it's a little bit challenging that persons with disability face in the community. They don't have those kind of rights in the society. But again, this thing comes to four things that we say. One is attitude. It's a barrier, because we talk about disability. We say it's disability. The definition is impairments plus barrier. So we say one is attitude. The attitude of society towards the person's disability is an obstacle. When you think that this one is already finished, is finished, kalas, your mind is blocked. You don't give up. You don't even, if somebody encourages you, like what kalas zolde kalas ma obiga indio yaka. That's attitude that you have towards person with disability. Another one is what? Communication barrier. There are barriers in the society that persons with disability, like for example the hearing impaired, cannot be able to communicate with the rest of the members in the society, simply because the sign language that is not in the community. They did not know sign language. As such, they cannot be able to communicate to this child with disability at home. So when this child is taken to school and is trained, he will be able to communicate to those with the members in the community. Another one, we could say the environment itself, the physical environment in the community level. Because when you talk about the community, we don't look at the rural setting. We talk about the whole community, including right now in the urban community centers. When I want to access the offices or the ministry or the parliament, and I find that the parliament is having steps or stairs, and I'm a child or a person with disability or with the physical disability, just like my colleague here, how do I climb up there? It becomes a little bit difficult. That means I will be carried by somebody. If I am carried, it is against my dignity. I am supposed to walk up there, but how do I get up there? Because there's already obstacle there. So we say attitudes, communications, and environmental. Another one also, we talk about institutional. The institutional barriers are looking at issues of policies. There are no policies that will promote the rights of persons with disability, whether at national level up to the grassroots level. Yes, we have recently the conventions on the rights of persons with disability being ratified. This convention is there. But if the convention is not disseminated, if it is not translated into different languages so that people can understand, still it becomes a challenge to the community level. We also talk about in the organization level. If the organization doesn't have policy at its organization level that will promote the participation of persons with disability, no matter you do what, it becomes difficult for them, because they will say, we don't have this policy here. So it's incumbent upon all the society, right at the Sultan level, Nasalatin, Fibuma, the Payam, the county, the state and the national level to have policies in place that will promote the rights of persons with disability. I know that we have the National Disability Inclusion Policy, which is already there, but as South Sudanese, we are good at formulating policies, but always remain as policies not implemented. We have the national, we have the inclusive education policy, which is there in place, but it's still lacking implementation. So we call upon all the government, all the NGOs and the community, the Salatin, to make sure that policies are implemented, all policies are developed to be able to facilitate the rights of persons with disability. So this is where I can, and my colleague can pick up from here and also mention some of the challenges that our viewers can benefit from it. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much. I think he has just elaborated clearly on the 4 challenges which is categorized, but the challenges are very many. That's why we categorize them into 4. The attitude, we talked at length here on attitude. Because of negative attitude, it can result to discrimination. Attitude can result into bullying, exclusion of persons with disability. Attitude plays a bigger role in our lives. Even developing policies, the institutional policies which he has talked about, comes from the mind. So if your mind is set up that this person is not able to do this thing, definitely your policies cannot allow this person. So attitude plays a bigger role. The environment, others can be man-made, others can be natural. So our photography cannot be accessible to persons with disability. There are a lot of hills, there are a lot of valleys, our roads are rocky. These things always are a challenge to persons with disability in terms of accessibility.
Yep.
So when it comes to man-made, this comes now into the developmental structures. The buildings, most of our buildings are not accessible. That's why our awareness is we need all our entries to have ramps. So it is very important because it allows easy access to the place, regardless of disability. Even those without disability can be able to access the place nicely. So environmental factors also plays a bigger role as a challenge to persons with disability. Communication is already talked about it. We have so many challenges in communication. So most of our awareness, information, most of our radios cannot be accessed to all the types of impairment. One thing I forgot, I want to remind us that we have different types of impairments. So we talked about the physical impairment, we talked of the visual impairment, we talked of hearing impairment, psychosocial, and the mental. So these things affect people differently. It does not affect the same. So unless we get to understand them well, then all our things will be accessible based on these types of impairment. So it is very important. These challenges are very many. So, but discrimination plays a bigger role in all this. Talk of GVV. How many people with disability are molested, abused sexually, harassed because of their disability? Because they cannot resist, they cannot run, they cannot see, they cannot reason for those with the psychosocial. So all these things affect them negatively, so people take advantage and abuse them sexually, hence resulting into gender-based violence.
Yeah, let us pick a just clear example of this communication barrier. Let us look at the churches. A pastor is busy preaching there that people need to get born again, and when he's preaching, there's a hearing impaired child or woman or man or boy or girl in the church, and he's also seated there like any other congregation. But because there is no sign language interpreter standing together with the pastor, this person does not get exactly what the pastor is saying. So if the churches can bring in a sign language interpreter in the church, because if you are preaching that Jesus Christ came for everyone, he came for all. He did not come for the few people. So if you can bring in a sign language interpreter so that somebody with a hearing impairment can also be able to get exactly what you are preaching, that will be that a church is really acting uniformly. But always, if you consider those who can listen and we don't take into consideration the hearing impaired, then we also hear discriminative. Let us look into our codes. Assuming a child or a person with hearing impaired or a girl with hearing impaired comes there and he reports to the police or to the judge that she has been raped, how will a judge really get to know what this person is communicating to? So it is very important that our country have to incorporate sign language as a curriculum in our education system, so that each and everyone who goes to school has to know sign language, so that when you come out, you can be able to communicate to a child with hearing impairment. This is very important. With the Braille, I am already seeing their Bibles in Braille that are already there, and that is a credit to the Bible Society for producing Bibles in Braille. But we need to emphasize more to the hearing impaired children. Even the churches, when you're building a church, don't build a church with the stairs. Build a church which should be low with the ramps, so that someone with physical disability can be able to access this church for him to be able to listen to the word of God. So there are very many challenges that we're talking about. When we talk about the challenges, when we talk about the barriers, we'll talk about them from now till evening. If they will not end, it's a continuous thing. I think for the time being, for our viewers, this is where we end, and we come back next time. Thank you.
One important thing I want to also emphasize is about the ill treatment of persons with disability. You know, I was in one of the society where they consider women with disability are not supposed to be married officially. You're not qualified to have dowry to be paid on your head. So this is one thing that the ill treatment, that's inhuman. You don't consider, you cannot say this woman cannot be married officially because she has disability. So these are some of the things. That's why you find 3/4 of women with disability are single mothers, because nobody wants to identify with them. Who wants to identify with the person with disability? So this again is another challenge that so many people with disability are facing.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. We are coming to the last bit of our question, and we are asking, what should organization do or communities do to make sure that their services are inclusive with persons, inclusive
Of persons with disability.
persons with disabilities?
Thank you. This is very important. Like we said earlier on, that persons with disability are part and parcel of the society. There is no society without persons with disability, and there is also no development without persons with disability. We also say there's nothing for us without us. So if you as an organization want to make services inclusive of persons with disability, it is good for persons with disability to be involved at the planning process, implementation process, monitoring and evaluation process. Why is it important for them to be involved at the planning process? It's because they know what persons with disabilities want. One strong man said, you cannot prescribe medicine to a person without understanding the cause of the sickness. You need to understand the cause of the sickness, so that you can be able to prescribe exactly what medicine can be used for treating that kind of sickness. But unfortunately, in our organization world, most of us are gambling. We're not really doctors. So involve the persons with disability at the planning process. They will be able to tell you exactly what they want, where the persons with disabilities are, what are the needs of persons with disability, and what are the priorities of persons with disability. That is in the planning process. In the implementation process, they will be able to know that the project which was allocated to be implemented in place A, targeting persons with disabilities A, is well implemented. In the monitoring and evaluation process, they will also be able to know that this program or project is really being implemented, and they'll be able to know that it was really implemented, but there were some gaps here, and those gaps can also be able to be addressed. So when you involve in the decision-making process, they can be able to decide inclusively, not exclusively, because persons with disability always, when it comes to project making or project development, they think in the inclusive manner. Thank you.
Yeah, organizations has a bigger role to play to make their services inclusive for persons with disability. One thing I want to put is that in every society, like in the world, 1 billion people live with disability, and 15% of the total population live have disability. That is according to WHO estimate.
Yep.
15% of every society, every population have disability. So it is estimated that 64 million people globally, persons with disability, are affected by crisis. This is exacerbated by either war or increased permanent or long-term impairment. Persons with the impairment disproportionately affected and exposed to humanitarian crisis. And we are saying people are targeted by abuse and violence. And in order to be more inclusive for persons with disability, we need to recognize barriers. We talked about barriers here. Organizational or humanitarian actors should recognize barriers and enablers. Enablers, these are things that can be used to remove barriers, because every barrier has an enabler. So organizations should be able to identify and recognize these barriers and remove them. This is very important to be sensitive. And one thing is that my colleague talked about how women have been ill-treated. This intersectionality affects also, that is gender, age, and disability. So it is another thing that organizations should do, identify that it is very important. He talked about ensuring meaningful participation of persons with disability. This is very important. You cannot program things on behalf. So don't say I'm working for persons with disability.
But you work with
the persons with disability,
yes,
either individually or as organizations, because we have very many organizations of persons with disability who can be able to assist you, to give you information so that your program can be more inclusive. So meaningful participation of persons with disability is very important. How do you involve them? Ensure access and participation at all levels, which my colleague has just put it. We have all the project circle that we involve persons with disability throughout our project circle. Other thing, recruit persons with disability as employees. How many of organizations recruit persons with disability? Have you identified capacity of persons with disability and recruit them based on their capacity? Not discriminating based on the disability. This is very important. Empower persons with disability. This is another one. After identifying ability of this person, empower the capacity to ensure that they become one of the stakeholders. This is also very important. We can do awareness raising on the right-based approach to identify the capacity of persons with disability and work with them. The fourth one is we need to collect data on disability. This is the most difficult part of it. That's why WHO work with 15%, because there is no accurate or disaggregated data on disability. So we need to begin to collect data on disability so that we provide services accordingly. So these are the few things that organizations should begin to work on it. So also give capacity to your staff. The organization should understand disability. When we define disability here, how many of organizations or managers can be able to define disability and incorporate disability in their programming? So it is very important, the role of an organization, to be more inclusive in all these factors that we have put forward.
Yes, thank you so much. As we are drawing to the last conclusion of our part, I would ask my guests to just say one word or two to the communities outside there regarding this issue of disabilities. Just one word or two words just to conclude.
To conclude, I want to say I'm very happy to pass this information, and let us embrace disability in all our society, because disability is not permanent. Disability can affect everybody. So we should understand that disability cuts across. Today you may not have impairment. Tomorrow you will experience impairment. So how can you enter into the society of disability? So begin to embrace disability now before it affects you tomorrow. I'm not causing you, but this is the reality on the ground. Yes.
Yeah, thank you so much. Community Connect, I want to appreciate you for doing this wonderful program. Indeed, it's good for us to connect as community. You know, networking is very important. When we connect as community, we will be able to uncover hidden challenges or hidden issues that are not brought to light. This is very important, and I say credit to you. as a person with visual impairment, or as a person with disability, or as a person who is a disability right advocate, I want to say that let us remove all the barriers. I know that at least in every society, in every family, there should be a child or a person with disability. So you do not be the one obstructing the progress of that child with disability. Please, let's remove barriers, right from community level, organizational level, up to even the government level. Let us remove barriers. Let us also make sure that we, like my colleague said, we embrace disability and embrace the persons with disabilities themselves. Let us encourage the persons with disability. Let us give them hope when they are hopeless. So by doing that, we make these persons with disability to develop self-esteem. They will think that they really know that these people really, they care for me and I'm really a human being. To the persons with disability, the one who is talking to you, I am not able to see. But can you believe that I am a computer literate? Do you know that I've even installed softwares like Microsoft, like antiviruses and the rest, like JAWS, job access with speech, to people who are even seeing? So if I am not able to see, but I'm a computer literate or a computer wizard, the way people say, you can also do the same. The sky is the limit if you believe in yourself. The sky is the limit if you parents believe in your children with disability. The sky is the limit if you government believe, an organization, if you believe in persons with disability. Today, we are taking care of our own families. Today we are working simply because the environment from our family level was good. So let us promote inclusion. Let us work for inclusion and stand for inclusion. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. As we have drawn to the end of our program, this is disability. Everybody is disabled until you meet a barrier. These things are just called impairments, and they are not permanent. You can face a barrier. It is about removing the barriers out to enable these people to do work. So at this point, how I wish this program would be in Arabic to enter the grassroots in South Sudan here. We tend to discriminate our children because they have those impairments. We do not give them chances to go to school. We do not give them equal treatment. From today, if you hear this message from Community Connect, just know that these are part of us, part and parcel for us. Just remove the barriers and they are normal human beings like us. Thank you so much, viewers. Please follow us on our Facebook page. Go to Community Connect on our YouTube page, on Ringins, on TikTok. You'll all get our programs there. And thank you so much. We say knowledge is power. When you hear this, pass it to your neighbor. Thank you so much and bye for today.
Bye.